Wake up, Jacob. Israelite Prepper here. Just wanted to drop in and just share a couple of thoughts, really. And it's really about matriarchal marriage versus patriarchal marriage. And a couple of thoughts, came into my head because I was having a conversation earlier. So I just wanted to kind of, I guess, expound on it a little bit. And basically, you have matriarchal marriage and you have patriarchal marriage. And obviously, in a matriarchal marriage is where the woman is the head. Okay, the woman is the head. And we know that we live in a matriarchal society. And sometimes it's hard for some women to even believe that. They're like, well, men get paid more and da da da. Okay, so they look at some of those low hanging fruit. But then if we look at the advances and we look at the things that has transpired, that all the women's rights and stuff like that, that came out of it and stuff like that, and feminism and just a lot of things that has happened. And so they'll run to employment and pay equality and things like that, and they don't look at like education. It's more females in college than males and things like that. But and plus women outnumber men. But let's look at it from a marital standpoint. Under the old paradigm, when we talk about marriage, under a Greco-Roman mindset, we know that we usually go by the old saying, happy wife, happy life. That's how many people live their life. That's how they look at their marriage, right? And sometimes, women, they may not have the strength, to overpower, their husbands, but they certainly have the feminine wiles, and they certainly have the attitude or the manipulation or whatever the case may be, right? To influence the marriage. Now that I'm sure we can all agree on, that they have the opportunity to influence the marriage. Now we're talking about a matriarchal marriage, talking about a modern Christian type of marriage, that sort of thing. And so we know that women can control in that sense. I mean, they even had a saying, the man's the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head any way she wants and stuff like that. So a lot of people live like that. But at the end of the day, in a matriarchal marriage, the men need to make the sacrifices and make the changes and things like that. Make the most, because I don't want to say, oh, women don't make sacrifices, because then the comment section will get blown up and saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, women make sacrifices. But what I'm saying, in a matriarchal structure, men have to make all the most of the adjustments and most of the sacrifices. And let me tell you why. Because it goes all the way back to where if the wife is not happy, then nobody's happy, right? So in the matriarchal standpoint, for example, if you guys get in an argument or something like that, or if you as a man do something that she doesn't like, then she'll withhold sex from you and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll get passive aggressive. Sometimes they want to talk to their friends or sisters or whatever, to go ahead and get people to their side, to hear their side of the story, to have their feelings validated and stuff like that. And basically what happens is, her opinion, her emotions and feelings and things like that reign supreme, and that's how she's going to run the relationship, because that's what's supreme. I want my feelings heard. I want my feelings validated. I feel, I think, I feel, and all that. That's what tends to be what happens. And so men have to bounce around and ping pong between that, right? Just like if a woman wants out of a relationship, even if the guy is not wrong, she has to figure out a way that he is wrong, okay? If she can't think of something tangible, for instance, if he's not physically or mentally abusing her, then it's emotional abuse, right? Which simply means he's not acquiescing to her feelings, to her emotions. So it's emotional abuse. So basically, in a matriarchal marriage, her and her emotions rule the relationship. Okay? All is not right with the world if I'm unhappy, kind of thing. And so men have to, capitulate and genuflect before their wives because it's a matriarchal, type of marriage, and that's what rules. On the other hand, it's in a patriarchal relationship, that's how tribes are built. That's how families and households are built and formed. If we look at it from, obviously from the biblical standpoint, and yes, it means that the man is head, it means he's in charge. And the veneration and the respect goes towards, the man. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that women are not respected, but I'm just saying that the steering of the ship, where the family goes, is up to the man. And I think a lot of times what women want, they actually get it in patriarchy, but they don't really see it sometimes. When their brain is not geared towards that, they don't see it. They don't see that they actually get what they want. I'll give you an example. I'll give you one example. Okay, when it comes to, say, in an argument, okay, a husband and wife, they're arguing, and it's because like a wife may have had a suggestion or something. She thinks, okay, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, whatever the case may be. And if he takes that advice, okay, if he takes her advice, and but it doesn't work out, she don't want to hear that that it's her fault or he shouldn't have listened to her or anything like that. She don't want to hear the fault is hers. She don't want to hear that, if it really is or not, right? Now, if he doesn't take the advice and it doesn't work out, of course she wants the right to say, I told you so. See, I said do this, I said do that. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and get the memo out, to the women. We as guys, we as men, even we as patriarchs, we understand that we're not always right practically, meaning we have to make certain decisions and things like that. And some of the decisions are not the best decisions. Some of the decisions are right. Now, there's only two things we can do when it comes to, settling something in a relationship. We can have our thoughts and then we have our ideas. And some men, they'll go to their wives and say, okay, what do you think, right? Now, you can express how you feel. You can express, your thoughts, your ideas, and he has two things that he can do. He can, if you guys don't see eye to eye, he can ignore what you said and go with his own idea. That's one choice. Or he can abandon what he was thinking and adopt your perspective. However, in both situations, since he's the patriarch and you agreed to play your role, he agreed to play his role as the head, whether it works out or not, he's not going to blame you. Because when we get in an argument, what is the number one thing you as women you don't want? You don't want it to be your fault, right? So when you are in the proper order, when you are being the wife and he's being the head and you're being virtuous and he's being righteous, you are set up in a system where you're under your covering. It's never your fault. You see? If you push and kick and scream and bark and squall and do all this other stuff to push your agenda, and if it doesn't work out, then it is your fault, and he has every right to let you know it's your fault because you pushed it. Now, if your attitude is this, well, husband, master, whatever you want to call your husband, if your attitude is, well, here's what I was thinking, X, Y, Z, fill in the blank. But ultimately, it is your decision. I back your decision, whatever that may be. Guess what? No matter what he does, no matter the outcome, it's not your fault. And that's what you want. You don't want it to be your fault. But when you get out of line and you want to force your way, it is your fault if it doesn't work out. It is your fault. So who's, at the end of the day, it's like, who's in the driver's seat? You see, that's how that covering goes. Sometimes a man will listen to, his wife, and because she may have a good idea. She may have a good idea. And he might take that advice. But if he doesn't, don't get mad. Don't emotionally invest yourself in that. And it's not your fault. That's just an example of some of the things that you don't want. We'll understand that you want to be heard and want your feelings validated and all that. But at the end of the day, we know men are not emotionally driven, right? We have emotions, we're just not ruled by them. Okay, I'm talking about righteous men. Okay, we'll always get some people say, yeah, but what if he has anger issues? I'm just talking about righteous men. Okay, I'm just talking about just a baseline average righteous guy without anger issues. Okay, we're just not driven by our emotion. We don't let our emotions rule us. Doesn't mean we don't have them. Doesn't mean that we're insensitive or anything. We have emotions. We have them. They're there. They're just not in the driver's seat. They're in the car. They're just not in the driver's seat. That's the difference. That is the difference. So you pretty much with a guy, you pretty much know what you're going to get. Okay? You pretty much know. We're pretty simple creatures in a way. Creatures of habit. You pretty much know what you're going to get with us from day to day. Our sisters, on the other hand, the ones who can control and control their emotions and not allow their emotions to control every situation, to control everything that comes out of their mouth because they're thinking it or feeling it or whatever, right? They don't have an issue because they put their flesh under subjection, right? They put all that emotion under subjection. But the ones who have not, you never know what you're going to get day to day because they're so emotional. Well, I feel. And that is what's driving their car, emotions. Emotions are in the driver's seat of their life, and that's how things go. And you cannot run a family like that. You can't run a family like that. I remember when I was under the Christian paradigm of marriage or whatever, I said before that I think that was the weakest type of man. That was the weakest incarnation of myself as a husband. Because I had to run around and acquiesce to emotions all the time. I bought into hook, line, and sinker, happy wife, happy life. Bought into that. You got to make them happy. You go to Christian counseling or you go to secular counseling, it's the same thing. It's something that the dude has to do, has to say. He has to, well, have you done this and have you done that? Well, have you tried this and have you tried that? Because in the counseling, you typically, I'm saying from my experience, they typically side with the woman, typically. Why do you think guys don't like going to counseling, women? In case you were wondering, why do you think guys don't like going to counseling? Some of them go, but what is that? Well, you'll go to counseling, in order to save our marriage and all this. Okay, so yeah, you go to counseling. You go to counseling. You don't want to, but you go to counseling. Or the thrill is gone, or whatever the case may be, we go to counseling. Why? Because she's probably going to withhold sex or something like that, right? But the reason we don't want to do because it's going to have to be something. Now, we're not even emotionally driven. We're pretty even keel. Okay, we're pretty even keel. I mean, sometimes you have, out in other words, sometimes you have people going to counseling because, the romance is gone. I just don't, all that. I've been there. So, fellas, I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. You're sitting at counseling and it's just all the things that you have to do. Now, God forbid that she'd have to do something different or submit or but that's how it is under the old paradigm. Patriarchal marriage versus matriarchal marriage. There's a huge difference. Now, I'm not going to try to make a case or justify it. The bottom line, there is no case, there is no debate, there's no argument. Okay, the Bible is patriarchal. Okay, it's written by men, written to men, and yes, women play a role in it. But that's what it is. We're just talking about order and protocol. That's it. Where in the Bible, where is it where a woman covers a man? Show me an example where a woman covers a man, covers his sins, covers him, and all that. Okay, I said covers. I didn't say comfort. So, and I can go on and on and on, but I'm not, because I like to have these shorter messages a little bit, just so people can kind of digest it and keep it going. But all of us have to decide what type of marriage we want to function in. Now, if you're going to come into the way and walk the path, it's clear it has to be patriarchal. But just understand that the rules are different in each model. The rules are different in each model. So if you want a matriarchal marriage, put the Bible down, because it's not a matriarchal book. It's going to mess you up. Okay? Put the Bible down. If you want a matriarchal marriage, put the Bible down, because that's not written for you. That's not written for men who want a matriarchal marriage. It's written for those who want a patriarchal marriage and want to be a patriarch, and the women who want to also exist in a patriarchal model. It does not work if you want a matriarchal model. If you want the woman to be in charge, put the Bible down. It's that simple. That's all I got. Those are my thoughts. Give me your thoughts. Israelite Prepper, and I'll see you guys on the next one.